Hey everyone! Today we are going to talk about something that is absolutely essential for making our digital world work for everyone. It's called audio description. We're going to break down how we can make sure our videos are telling their entire story to their entire audience. But first, let's try a quick thought experiment. Go on, just for a second, close your eyes. What if all you had was my voice, without any of the visuals on screen? What information would you be missing out on? That simple question right there gets to the absolute heart of what we're talking about today. You see, for millions of people, folks who are blind, have low vision, or even have certain cognitive limitations, this isn't just an experiment. It's their everyday reality. When the visual side of a story isn't explained, the story is simply incomplete. It creates what we call a visual information gap. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll dig into the problem, what people are actually missing. Then, we'll talk about the solution, which is audio description. After that, we'll see how it's done, look at some real-world examples, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with why this is so critical for anyone creating content today. All right, let's start with that problem, the visual information gap. What do we actually mean when we say that crucial information is getting lost in translation? Well, think about it. Imagine a character's face falls, but they don't say anything. Or maybe some important text flashes on the screen for just a second. Or the whole scene changes, shifting the mood from happy to tense. If the dialogue doesn't mention any of that, someone who can't see the screen is missing a huge piece of the puzzle. The story just doesn't fully connect.
And this isn't just some vague idea. It's actually a clearly defined issue in the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG. They call it Failure F113. And it's pretty simple. If your video has pauses in the dialogue, where you could describe what's happening on screen, but you don't, then your content has an accessibility failure.
So how do you know if a video has this problem? The test is really straightforward. Step 1, is there important visual stuff happening that isn't explained in the audio? Step 2, are there natural pauses where a description could fit? If you answered yes to both of those questions, then that content fails. It's really as simple as that. Okay, so we've laid out the problem pretty clearly. Now, let's talk about the hero of our story, the solution, and it's called audio description. The best way to think about it, it's like a narrator for the eyes. No, let's look at the official definition, because the wording here is key. It's narration that's specifically added to describe important visual details. And not just any details, the ones that cannot be understood from the main soundtrack alone. So it's very targeted, very purposeful. So what kind of stuff are we talking about? Well, it could be anything from a character's actions to their appearance, a sudden change of scenery, or even text that pops up on screen, like a name or a location. Basically, any visual element that you absolutely need to understand what's going on. And you know, it's really important to get who this helps. The first group that comes to mind is people who are blind, of course. But it's also a game changer for people with low vision who might miss small details. And it's even helpful for people with certain cognitive limitations, because that extra layer of audio reinforces what's happening visually.
Okay, so we get what it is and why we need it, but how do you actually do it? Well, there are two main ways to get this done.
The first method is to just weave the descriptions right into the main audio track, slipping them into those natural pauses in the dialogue. Sometimes, to make it clearer, a technique called audio ducking is used. That's where the background music or sound effects get a little quieter for a moment so the description can be heard. The second way, which is super common, is to provide a whole separate audio track. The official guideline calls this technique G78. The viewer then just chooses if they want the standard audio or the one with the extra descriptions. But here's the golden rule, no matter which path you take. You have to add information without covering up other important audio. The description has to fit neatly into the quiet moments. You can't just talk over somebody's lines. It's actually a bit of an art, really, saying what's needed clearly and concisely in just a few seconds. This all sounds good on paper, right? But what does it actually sound like in practice? Let's check out a few examples from the source material that really show how these descriptions can bring visuals to life. So in this first one, from a video about teaching evolution, the teacher just says, "You will pretend to be a species of wading bird that has a beak like this." Now, if you can't see her, like this means absolutely nothing. But with the audio description, the teacher holds two of the sticks to her mouth, making the shape of a beak. Bam! The image is perfectly clear. Here's a great example of that separate audio track we just talked about. Say you've got a video of a woodpecker with all these beautiful nature sounds, but no one's talking. The description track adds that layer of narration, explaining what the bird is doing. And the best part? The user is in total control. They can toggle it on or off with just a click. Oh, this one is so common. How many times have you watched a presentation where someone points at a screen and says, "And this is the key point"? That phrase is totally useless if you can't see what they're pointing at. Audio description fixes this so easily by just saying what this is, connecting the words to the actual visual. Okay, let's pull all these threads together. We've seen the problem, we've seen the solution, we've seen it in action. But why does this really truly matter, especially for those of you who create content?
It matters because this isn't just a friendly suggestion, it is a global standard. Remember WCAG? While Success Criterion 1.2.5 is the specific rule that requires audio description, it's a key part of reaching the level AA standard of accessibility, which is the benchmark that most websites and organizations aim for. So this isn't some nice-to-have extra feature, it's a fundamental requirement for an accessible digital world.
So let's wrap this up. What are the big things to remember? First, audio description is what bridges that visual information gap. Second, yes, it is a key part of that level A accessibility standard. But here's what I really want you to take away. This is not just about checking a box or following a rule. It is about complete storytelling. It's about making sure your message, your art, your information is truly available to every single person.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty important question. I want you to think about the content you create, the videos you share, and the media you consume. And just ask yourself, is it telling the whole story? Thanks so much for joining me today.